This video is going to be a bit of a departure from what I normally cover on this channel, but I think it matters. This is my journey. This is my story of stepping into the unknown of entrepreneurship. And if you've been watching this channel for a while, or if the YouTube algorithm just found you, I think it could help on your journey too. So I hope you grab a coffee, sit back for the next 10 minutes or so, and find something here that resonates. What is up, guys? Welcome to Heist, the YouTube channel where I deep dive into my journey of building physical products brands, specifically on Amazon. And at times I dive into my mental headspace, my personal journey, my journey into entrepreneurship. And that's really what this video is about, because this is my story. And I feel like a lot of people that have stepped into the entrepreneurial e-commerce game probably have similar paths and similar feelings inside of them. So I want to kind of break down and reverse engineer some of my experiences in the hopes that it helps you on your path. So if you don't know much about me, I've talked about this on some podcasts and stuff, but not explicitly on this channel. But my name is Adam. I grew up in Canada in a place called Calgary, Alberta. And I think I had a pretty normal childhood and path into careers and university that most of us do. Grew up playing sports and hockey. Went to a 4-year business school and really followed the path that society had laid out for me, which involved getting a normal job and following that path. But like a lot of us, I've had threads in my life, some of which I've listened to, some of which I've not, where I've just felt something different. Being called to something different, feeling that my life had something more to it. And one of the first things that pulled me to is I actually moved to the US. I think I was about 23, 24. I literally packed up a bag full of clothes. And then as a true Canadian, I had a hockey bag full of my hockey equipment. And I went down to Texas, where I spent the better part of the next decade. And part of it for me is that's something that you don't do. You don't typically move out of your hometown. You don't typically step into a country or a place where you don't know what the future is. But that was one of the first things in my life where I made a profound change, where I just followed my gut and followed my heart. And the better part of the next 10, 15 years I spent in corporate life, which in many respects was super fulfilling. I actually ascended to things in my career and got to experience things I never thought was possible for myself, a lot of which was driven by that decision to move away from my country, my friends, my family, and everything I knew. But like a lot of us, especially those that have pursued physical products brands and e-commerce, there was a point really throughout that entire journey where I felt like something wasn't right, and I finally eventually listened to it. And I kind of remember the day pretty distinctly. I was working for a really cool physical products brand in an executive role, making great money, had a great big team. You know, the future was bright, predictable. I kind of knew it was going to happen. But I was staring out of my office one day. I love to mountain bike and ski in the winter. And I was literally looking at this beautiful day. I was staring in Utah at this beautiful mountainside, but I was stuck in 6 hours of meetings that day. It's obviously not socially acceptable, especially if you've got a team, to just like bow out in the middle of the day and go mountain biking. And something about that, I just felt like super messed up. You know, as human beings, I feel like we're meant to explore life. We're meant to be outside. We're meant to do things that matter to us. And I felt constrained, as good as that career path was, that it just didn't sit well with me. So after kind of having that feeling deep inside of me for the better part of a decade, on that day, literally, I finally listened to it. And that was the start of my Amazon journey. So I basically started a home goods brand, literally worked 7 days a week, kind of in off hours outside of my day job, and chipped away at it. And the big thing here is that I didn't know what was going to happen. And I think that's what's really scary about big life decisions or career decisions, is you've got to step into the unknown. And oftentimes the unknown is not a path that has a chart to it. It's not what society says that you should do. It's not what you grew up thinking that you were supposed to do. But it's that deeper calling, that kind of feeling inside like, I've got to do this. And I finally listened to it. And I just want to say for those out there that a lot of people don't listen to that voice. They don't listen to that feeling. They don't listen to that calling in their soul because, again, society and all these other constraints tell you to live life in a certain way. But I finally did. So I spent the better part of the next couple years building up that business, and literally 2 years to the day from starting on that unknown journey, I finally had a path to the known and ended up actually selling that business. And that fundamentally changed my life forever. And it was these thoughts about the future, these thoughts that things would be different if I chose that path, even though I didn't know what the outcome was going to be. And it finally realized itself. And And I've since started to build more businesses. I've made other fundamental life decisions, and I've got more in touch with that voice and that feeling inside of me. So I want to just say that regardless of where you're at on your journey, if you just kind of feel that inclination and don't quite have the vehicle for it yet, or are struggling with the things that society tells you to do or what you feel like you should be doing, listen to that voice. There's something on the other side of that voice, even if you don't know what it is. These fundamental life decisions that you make, that you feel are right for you, they're scary. They're not easy. In most ways, because of the way that we've been conditioned and lived our lives, they're unnatural to follow. But there's one thing about them, as scary as they are, is they feel right. So if you're just starting out and don't know if you should listen to the voice, I'm just saying if it feels right inside of you, you should listen to it. If you're in the middle of building a brand and you're not quite where you want to be, you don't have that light at the end of the tunnel, there's no outcomes yet, keep following it. And if you've listened to that voice and that feeling before and you found outcomes that matter in your life, use that in other areas of your future. Because it's when you step into the unknown, it's when you follow those scary feelings inside of you that feel right, that there might be the life that you want to live and the outcomes you want to have in your life on the other side of that decision. All right, so change of scene. That's because I had a normal wrap up to this video, but literally as I was getting ready to drop it here today, as the universe often works in mysterious ways, I had a really cool Instagram reel show up on my feed from Bill Burr, one of the best comics and one of, frankly, the best philosophers if you've ever heard some of his interviews. So check this thing out. It always works out for the better when you follow your dreams.
There's no way you lose when you go after a dream. You don't. It always leads to something better. Always. All right? Starving artist. I slept on a futon until I was 36. I don't fucking regret any of it. I was dating this woman, and I said I had a spot I had to go do, and it paid $8 at the comic strip during the week. Tuesday night, I went down there, and I came back. I tried out a new bit, and I was doing and afterwards, I was at home in my apartment, and I was doing this silly dance in the kitchen because I had a new bit, and I was psyched because I had gone through this period where I wasn't coming up with any new material. And she was laughing, and then she got a sad look on her face, and I said, "What's the matter?" And she said, "I wish I had a job where I only got paid $8, yet I came home and I did a silly dance in the kitchen." The responsible thing to do is to listen to your heart. It wasn't hard to work at the shitty job because I was always thinking about the exciting job I was going to do afterwards. And every night that I just went up on stage, and if it just went moderately okay, I couldn't believe it. I have to be honest with you, like, I couldn't fucking believe that I was actually doing it. That I had a dream and I was making it happen. And I still remember the first time I really went on stage and I actually got in the zone for what was considered a zone at the level comic I was. And I only was in the zone for about 8 seconds. I was at Nick's Comedy Stop in Framingham on Route 9. It doesn't even exist anymore. And I just got on this roll of laughter that I was actually able to pause and fucking be in the moment and enjoy it rather than being like, "Oh my God, what's my next joke? What's my next joke?" And that fucking feeling can carry you through a fucking shitty job for a week. Freddie Stone, the excitable boy, that's what he went by. I did a room for him and he gave me $5 gas money. I'd probably spent 10 to get there, and I couldn't fucking believe it. And I was like, I did that and they gave me this. I couldn't fucking believe it. At what point, just listen to the sound of my voice as I'm talking about this. Have you ever had that level of excitement doing any other fucking job? That's what it's like when you go after a dream job. So nothing is worse than not going after it.
So how freaking good was that? Definitely better than most of the conclusions that I could shoot on this video. So wanted to splice that in there. Again, I just think it hits home, man. It's like you got to step into the unknown. You got to chase that feeling inside of you. Even if society, your parents, your friends, everything known to you doesn't have that path, you got to listen to it. And what's the worst that could happen? You'll be back where you are right now. So follow your dreams. I'm telling you, if my life's any example, good things come of it. And I've got more dreams I'm going to be following this year as I build some additional businesses and share them openly on this channel. Also have a really big announcement next week about what's happening with my course. Super exciting stuff. Spoiler alert, I just spent 2.5 weeks in Vancouver reshooting a course. So stay tuned for that. Thanks as always for joining this winding journey with me. I know that sometimes the content is FBA, ecom specific. Sometimes we get into stuff like this. But the fact that you're here, the fact that you're part of this community, the fact that you care to listen to these videos every Monday really does mean a lot. So if you're following your heart and your dreams and you can't see light at the end of the tunnel, continue to tap into that. If you're at the start of your journey, take a step today and do one step tomorrow and one step the next day. And you'll look back in a couple years and you'll be blown away by what can happen. Hope you guys have an awesome week ahead. Thanks for stopping by.